for part 2 of making my Outlander costume. So in part 1, I did Claire's outer garments. So we had her top, her stomacher, and her skirt. In this video, I will be making her petticoat and her slip dress. So everything that goes under her outer garments, hence undergarments. In part 3, I will be doing her shoes, which are arguably the most important part. And then I'll potentially be doing a part 4, which could be like a behind the scenes, get ready with me sort of vibe. If you want to see how I go making Claire's undergarments, so her petticoat and her slip dress in this video, then stick around. Okay, so to start with, I'm taking the basic bodice block pattern that I made on my sewing course and tracing that onto some thick paper. Trace my basic dress pattern onto some butcher's paper, and then I'm going to alter the neckline a little bit so that it's quite low like Claire's was, add a seam allowance to add the tie in. I'm going to make it a little bit longer as well, and then a little bit bigger, and I think that should work pretty well as a slip dress. I'm also going to be ignoring any darts that I have. So darts are sort of to cinch in the waist and to make the shoulders nice and tight and fit quite well. And that's definitely not what I want with a loose slip dress. So I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. Make sure that the midsection stays loose because Claire's looked super loose on Outlander, and just see how it looks. So now I've just added 15 to the front and back length, which should make it a midi dress. All right, so now I need to alter my neckline. I'm looking at my back piece on my Outlander top, and I just want the thickness to be less than what my top is so that you don't see the white peeping through on the neckline. All right, so I'm just gonna draw it in roughly so I can make it deeper than that, and then I just have to add on a seam allowance to leave a little pocket for my tie. And I'm doing the same for my front piece so I can sort of roughly see where the neckline is. So I'll just kind of draw it. It doesn't have to be exact because you're not really gonna see this. And then it doesn't matter that the armhole's different. I want it to be tighter underneath because it will be underneath the other piece. So now I'm just gonna dip the neckline a little bit more and make this so I can see that the edge of the dart was there. So I'll probably just do the same so that it matches on the back. So I went to I cut out the darts, so that's where the join will be. And then I'll just make sure it's a bit deeper. And now I'm just tracing up my sleeve, which will be exactly the same as this sleeve pattern, just 4 centimeters shorter. So for the Outlander sleeve, I did it 10 centimeters shorter, and I want it to sort of be showing a little bit because Claire's is showing a little bit. So that is why there is a difference in the sleeve length. All right, so I've got my slip dress pattern all traced up and cut out. Now I just need to trace it onto my material and then sew up the slip dress. Also, I just realized that I don't actually have an opening for my cord to come out of, so where I'm gonna tie it up. So I'm just gonna cut a little V in the top, and then I'll just fold that over so that my cord can come out. And I always cut a little notch in for the back. All right, now I've got all of my slip dress fabric pieces cut out. Now I'm just gonna iron them all and then sew them together. All right, now I'm pinning up and sewing on the sleeves. I've just pinned up the front little V, so the opening where I'll thread my tie through. So I'm gonna close this up and then close it over and sew it round. I'll pin it and then I'll make sure that before I sew it, my cord fits through pretty nicely. And lastly, for the slip skirt, I am just rolling up and pinning the hem, which I'm then going to sew. Now I'm just attaching a safety pin to the end of my drawstring so that I can thread it through. Okay, so I'm trying to measure up how much of this I need. What I plan on doing is basically just cutting a rectangle and making a little pillow for this to go in, and then I'll make sure there's ties attached to that as well. I just need to figure out where to cut this first one, then I'll try it on and see if I need a bit more puff. So maybe it's pulled over. Try like here. So 22.5, around 98 long. I just tried on my petticoat pull noodle with the top and it's sticking out way too much. So it's too much poof. I want a little less poof, so I'm gonna cut this in half and then see how I go. Worst case scenario, I have a second pull noodle that I can start from scratch if I need to, and they were only $2 each, so should be fine. Okay, so I've tried it on quite a few times. This is where I've gotten to. I feel like in Claire's, it goes out a bit more on her hips, so I might add another little half noodle roll underneath and just sit it in. I'm not sure if I need to shave off the tiniest bit more, particularly at the back, just so it sits down a little bit more, but I think it should be pretty good for the skirt. All right, I'm just testing out what it looks like with my skirt material on top. I showed my mum and she was like, you look pregnant, which I do. So I'm gonna shave a little bit more off the noodle there and there. And then I want to add a bit more just to poof it out a bit at the back because I've gone a bit too flat with that and I'm not really sure what happened there. So I'll add another little ring either below or directly on top so that this kind of flips around. Maybe I should just try turning it around. I just turned it around and that's actually loads better. Still big on the hips, but less pregnant at the front, and then still poofy at the back. So I have my pool noodle inside my casing. I decided I'm not going to completely close the casing just in case I change my mind on how much stuffing I actually want in there, because I still have plenty of the pool noodle left that I can always stuff in if I want a bit of a bigger booty or bigger hips. So I'm just going to hem this edge and then I'll be finished with my petticoat.